business analyst Jill Schlesinger.
We saw an increase of 4.4% of economic growth from the second quarter. What powered this increase was a jump in consumer spending, a rise in exports, and a rise in government spending.
The Dow is up 304 points. This is CBS.
I'm Major Garrett. Follow and listen to The Takeout on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free, no-risk consultation. 800-265-7681. 800-265-7681. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-265-7681.
This message brought to you by the Central Tennessee Regional Solid Waste Planning Board. Visit recyclerightTN.com for tips, ideas, and locations on where to recycle near you. That's recyclerightTN.com.
Recycle right, it's all on you. Don't be trashy, recycle classy, recycle right, Tennessee.
Go to recyclerightTN.com.
Recycle right, Tennessee.
There are places where people talk, and then there are places that people talk about. News Radio WGNS is both on air, online, and on the phone. FM 1019, FM 100.5, WGNSradio.com. The Good Neighbor Network.
Whether it's a cough, a fever, or something you can't quite name, MMC Now makes care easy. Walk right in, get seen quickly, and your visit connects directly to your MMC doctor. Care you trust, with providers you know, with digital check-in and multiple locations around town. MMC Now is here when you need us.
Murfreesboro Medical Clinic.
Network. FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro. FM 100.5 Smyrna. Audio and video streaming at wgnsradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
Good morning on a pre-weather weekend. This is Bill Kraus on the WGNS Radio Roundtable, Thursday morning edition. We're very, very pleased, delighted, excited, and enthusiastic to have with us a gentleman who is no stranger to all of Murfreesboro, a dear friend, a dear legislative leader. And I'm just happy to have learned this morning that he has just filed his papers last week for re-election to the office of mayor of the city of Murfreesboro. Welcome, Shane McFarland.
Great to be back.
Great. Well, of course, I would be remiss if I didn't initially say, let's talk about city of Murfreesboro preparation for Saturday and Sunday. We're hearing that this is going to be perhaps a real blaster. And before we talk about it, we were talking off the air last time we had perhaps 12 to 13 inches, and you were back in 1993, was it?
I think that's the year, because I came to MTSU in 92. I think 93 was the last big storm we had, because it was over spring break for MTSU, and I was in Monteagle, so and it may have been my freshman year. I can't remember, but nonetheless, I was in Monteagle, and I remember that Ashley and I were walking, and she got stranded in Shelbyville. So she was in Shelbyville for 4 days until finally she begged her parents to come get her. So, I think our street department, when something like this starts occurring, if you really saw the communication behind the scenes, the emergency service director, Chris Clark, with Rutherford County, and everyone is coordinating, because there are things that you think about that, making sure that the entrances to all of our police and fire buildings are open to be able to get out our emergency service, our hospitals, our ambulance services. So all of that has to be coordinated, and we've got a good team where the city of Murfreesboro, Smyrna, Laverne, the county, we all work together to be able to make sure that those things happen. So, to the resident out there, I feel very confident in our street department. Those men and women are rock stars on how they handle everything. As a matter of fact, last year when we had the snow event, I think we only had one or two last year. People were talking about the difference between. They could tell when they got to the Murfreesboro city limits just how good the roads were. So we'll be prepared.
It's interesting, and I just thought of it right now. A few years ago, city of Murfreesboro was in the electric business, and if you were in the electric business today, what type of precautions would you be taking to ensure that power is hopefully consistent within the community?
It's funny you asked that. Chuck Barber with Middle Tennessee Electric called last night about 6:00. He had called all of the mayors in Rutherford County, just to say, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's what we're being prepared for. He told me that all of their crews are activated, including their contract crews, which those people are all activated. So I think they're going to be prepared. The thing you just can't account for, and they will monitor this, the demand structure on the amount of demand that will take place when we have 96 hours of such cold weather. And he did say that the right of way preparation that they do all the time, that he's never seen the right of way in such good shape around Rutherford County. So I think we feel very prepared on that.
And I'm sure Piedmont Gas, in a similar fashion, would be full of preparation.
Yeah, everyone goes in really to all hands on deck whenever something like this happens. And the good news is it's not like a lot of weather events where you have something that just happens spontaneously. I mean, we've been able to prepare for this, known for 3 or 4 or 5 days that it's coming. So I think everybody will be prepared, and that's the part too for a resident. While we're at home, our police department, fire department, emergency services, our water and sewer operators, water treatment facility operators, our street department, they're all out continuing to work. Solid waste,
absolutely.
So there are all these things that still go on, and so we'll monitor, and then we'll act accordingly.
Well, the mere fact is that the peak of it's predicted for the weekend. So you're not having traditional services like trash hauling, trash pickup. It's not going to be on a Saturday or Sunday. You were saying off the air, along with Brian and Scott, and I haven't had the opportunity to be inside, grocery stores, Home Depots, Lowe's, things off the shelf.
Yeah, I think everybody's getting their bread and milk, to make sure they've got everything accounted for. Yeah, so I was telling somebody we stocked up day before yesterday, but somebody was telling me that there's just nothing on the shelves in the grocery stores right now as far as like milk and those type things. So, and I'm not a big milk guy, so
you won't miss it.
No, I'm more making sure we're stocked up on Diet Coke. So,
would you like a?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
I don't know how the JD will be.
Yeah, that's right. That's
and
right.
The liquor stores will be for the weekend.
That's true.
One little hint, if you are a individual in Murfreesboro, a family in Murfreesboro, and you have senior citizen parents or relationships and so forth, please make sure you check up on them. A senior who may be living alone or living as a couple in their home may be a little more fearful, maybe a little less aware of what to do. And, just give a shout out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And an ongoing shout out. Maybe 2-3 times on Saturday.
Yeah, no doubt.
2-3 times on Sunday. I'm sure that a lot of people know that, you let your water faucet drip if you have a sink next to an exterior wall.
Unhook your garden hoses.
Right. And how about taking care of your pets?
Yeah, I ordered. It's funny, on Amazon. It should be here today. I've got a dog that he's sort of my buddy. He goes with me just about everywhere. But I ordered him boots. So yeah, $30, and he's going to have his own cool boots so we can go walk outside.
I got to ask you this: have you ever brought your buddy to a city council meeting?
No, I have not brought him to a city council meeting. As a matter of fact, he's not been. I don't think he's been to City Hall before. So
I think, especially if you've got a very active public hearing set.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great?
You have a relief dog.
Most people, when I do these Facebook Lives, and routinely you'd be surprised. There's 40 or 50,000 people who watch those things.
Sure.
But you can. It's a running joke because he'll. His name is Knox. He's a big black lab, and he gets up underneath my desk, and you can hear him snore while I'm doing.
Great for a council meeting.
I don't know if he had CPAPs for dogs, but he needs one.
Well, one last city that I managed, one of the employees had a little dog, and brought the dog to City Hall every day, sat in the lobby, etc., a little doxy, and I will tell you, therapeutically, a citizen who came into City Hall who was upset and had the opportunity to sit at the lobby and pet the dog. It was a great stress reliever. Their anger turned into love for the dog.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that may be, a new logic.
I know. I need to think about that. That's great.
Now, let's do this. If there were 3 of the most important things, now that you will be seeking another 4 years, 3 of the most important things that you feel are both immediate short-term challenges or long-term opportunities facing the city of Murfreesboro, what might they be?
First, I think road projects.
Okay.
I think it's above my pay grade on how TDOT handles road projects, but I think that one of the things I read day before yesterday that TDOT allocates about 2.8 something like that, almost $3 billion a year in road projects, and they've got a $60 million backlog.
Wow.
So, you just do the math on that, and that takes you 20 years to catch up with where we are right now.
And you figure the cost inflation during that 20 years.
So, I think TDOT's changed their funding model to where municipalities are putting much, much more in than what we used to put in to try to get some of these road projects going. So, I think something that's going to TDOT doesn't borrow money to build roads. They use the gas tax and other things. And I think at some point, the discussion is going to have to be, if we continually are getting behind on our road projects, is there a different funding structure that we need to look at? So I think that's one.
When you talk about gas tax, one of the negatives is that the more cars are gas economy based, less gas tax per mile per car. While the volume of cars increase, shows a losing source of revenue.
On electric cars, that's something.
Absolutely.
I think there's a fee that an electric car user has to pay. But anyway, I think the majority of roads that are in Murfreesboro are all state roads, and so we partner with our state delegation with TDOT to get as much bang for our buck. But to give you an idea, we were super excited that we got awarded funding in a placeholder for the widening of Old Fort Parkway, and that's in 2031. So
it's going to be here sooner than we think.
So I think that would be one. I think 2, the landfill continues to be a something that I think is an issue that not only is it detrimental to our community, but it's something that poses a challenge on how we deal with that moving forward. So I think number 2, if we could have complete and total solid waste independence where over 70% of Nashville's trash, or 70% of the trash that comes in to Middle Point is all from other counties, including Davidson County. I think that would be So I guess I wish I would have that immediately would be that Davidson County would handle their own trash.
And the projection of the life of the trash facilities without Davidson County or surrounding counties.
It would be, if you take Davidson County out of the useful life of that landfill, then all of a sudden it definitely is not as profitable for the landfill operator,
Right.
but the useful life extends significantly. I think the other part, with that, they're going through now trying to get a 70-foot tall expansion on the existing landfill. So we're fighting that. So that would be, two. And then I think, the third thing that we would continue to work on is enhancing education and public safety in our community. So, I've said this routinely that it's hard to just say three, because like in my mind now, I'm like also like I think job creation is extremely important. But Bill, a gentleman had tagged me on social media and about his taxes going up every year, and I went back 10 years. We had to raise taxes in 2018. Outside of that, we've raised taxes one time in 30 plus years. It's crazy. That we've been successful on doing that. But I went back and I looked at his taxes over the last 8 years, and like 4 years, 885, 885, 885, 885. Then the reappraisal came in 2022. His taxes went up to like 911.
Oh.
And then it went 911. No, 904 is what it was. 904, 904, 904, 904. So, we don't have anything to do with the reappraisal.
No.
The city, we basically just get, hey, here's how much property appreciated. We have to back our tax rate down to equalize. We can't make money off of taxes or property value going up. But there is a formula that the state has in place that if your property appreciated higher than what the median average is, then your bill does go up.
Yes.
But we don't have anything to do with that, and so I feel confident in saying that the city of Murfreesboro, we've been successful. I hope we can continue to do that. Part of that goes back to selling Middle Tennessee or selling Murfreesboro Electric. Murfreesboro Electric was the center of a donut hole that could not expand. We could not expand our footprint.
Right.
So when that happens, your income is capped because you can't grow, but your expenses continue to go up.
Correct.
So it was that law of diminishing return that Middle Tennessee Electric, on the other hand, they can expand. And so we were able, to sell Murfreesboro Electric over a 15-year period for a little over $300 million, and we were able to put and regulate the state. Actually, we went to the state and said, we want you to restrict that money. So we changed our charter to basically say you can, a future council can never spend out of that principal balance.
So it's interest only of what you're...
Yeah, so I think this year, the overall fund brought in about $8 million that we are able to, one goes to the Community Investment Trust that helps some of the nonprofit organizations. That was about $1 million this year. And then the other one keeps us to where we don't have to raise property taxes.
The interesting thing about that, everything that's done legislatively, nationally, state, locally, has both positives and negatives, with a major emphasis, and you being in the home building industry that certainly affects you directly, is the interest rates that are being generated. So on the one hand, we say, well, if we lower interest rates nationally, boy, that's going to be great for home building, home buying, home refinancing. But we forget that lower interest rates also means less money generated for such projects as you referred to on Middle Tennessee.
Yeah.
Also, and I guess I have this as a feeling, the lower of the interest rates, senior citizens who have based a portion of their monthly income on the interest of their CDs see the generating CD rates going down, and consequently less income for them.
We had this discussion yesterday. I spoke with a group, and I think the issue, interest rates, I think are absolutely important. But, if you go back to 2020, 2021, you can go back and look at the data, and when COVID started, and then when COVID ended, so that was in 2021-ish. House prices went out the roof. So the house that you were building and selling for $300,000 all of a sudden went to $535,000.
Wow.
And they've not come down.
No.
And I think part of that, I'm not getting into my, we are in the city of Murfreesboro, we provide services, so I'm not getting into all the national politics. But one thing that really hit me the other day that made a lot of sense is where all of these institutional, so this is what's happened, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Municipalities have basically said, we're not allowing any more apartments. And we stopped apartment building except in the Gateway about 5 or 6 years ago. So these institutional organizations then have now said, okay, we're going to build entire subdivisions for rental.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what, or they've gone through and they've said, we're going to strategically buy single family homes in subdivisions and we're going to rent those. So you may have a group that goes into a subdivision and buys 20 homes. And typically what you'll see, if it's a builder that's not from here, a national builder, they may
California.
They may do that.
Uh-huh.
So what happens, and I think this was discussed the other day, is basically limiting and saying single family homes are not for institutional buying. I forget what the number is, but there is a significant amount of homes in our country that have been bought up by BlackRock and all these larger.
Sure.
And here's the difference, and most people don't understand this. When those organizations buy those homes, they get to depreciate a significant amount of those homes.
Right.
So they have to hold on to them. So to them, they can pay an overinflated price for the house because they're able to depreciate it, and then they sort of play the long game on the house. And what that's done is that's almost it's arbitrarily inflated the price of homes to the detriment of someone who's trying to buy a house.
And it places rent at a projected highest attainable income.
Yeah, I mean you're looking at single family homes trying to rent right now for the $2,700 to $3,200, $3,300. Look, we've always had rental property in Murfreesboro, but typically it was owned by people who live here. They drive out, look at the property, and take care of it. But now you're seeing a substantial amount of single-family homes that are owned by institutional organizations, and I think if anything, and that's a direct effect with if the cities and municipalities all over, if they don't build multifamily units, and I'm not advocating for that. I think we've got enough. Then those groups end up finding different loopholes to go purchase those properties.
Different legal entities,
yeah.
etc. Well, that's one of my activities is owning rental property with a number of properties in Murfreesboro, but I do it for a totally different purpose. It's not the purpose to maximize rents. I seek my return based on equity. And if I can see each month the principal out there,
going down,
down, my rent is going to be just above what the mortgage payment, insurance, taxes, and HOAs may be. So my rents are significantly less because I'm doing a social effect on people. I'm still attempting to make housing affordable to families.
Well, I think it's important that we continue to find ways that we can make housing affordable, but I think there's going to have to be, and there's not a lot at the local level that we can do with that. That has to come from the federal level, because, and that's what I was talking about the other day, that, I mean, even if we have impact fees in place to make sure that growth pays for itself, but even when you start backing all those things out, most single-family homes that you see right now, it's hard to believe, are in the $475,000 to $500,000 range.
That's low income.
Yeah, and I mean doesn't seem very affordable when you see what the note on that is. So I think that's something that we have to work with, and we continue to advocate with our federal partners to be able to say we need help in these areas.
I want to talk about this after we break this commercial, but I can recall, and the data may be old in my mind, but I remember in California that 25% of the building of a new home was to accommodate requirements
for fees and
for
those
fees.
things. Yeah.
And the more we placed on the developer donation to school facilities or school land, acquisition of future parkland, not only streets and sidewalks and utilities, even the amount of trees that are to be dedicated per lot and an HOA requirement on development. Let's talk about that right after we hear from these words from the businesses that pay the bills.
Whether it's a cough, a fever, or something you can't quite name, MMC Now makes care easy. Walk right in, get seen quickly, and your visit connects directly to your MMC doctor. Care you trust, with providers you know, with digital check-in and multiple locations around town. MMC Now is here when you need us.
Murfreesboro Medical Clinic.
Well, yeah, I'll be right there.
It takes all of us to power a community, both in plain sight and behind the scenes. Middle Tennessee Electric, bringing good energy.
What's the location of your emergency? I think my kid OD'd.
Hi, I'm Craig Harris. I'm County Commissioner of Rutherford County. One of the reasons I ran for office is because I wanted to bring awareness to the opioid epidemic that's impacting our county. To stop providing this epidemic with people as we educate. We have a lot to do, and we have to come together as a community because this problem's not going away.
Gone, the congestion makes it hard to sleep, hard to focus, hard to feel like yourself. Here's what most people don't actually know. Sinus infections keep coming back because your sinuses can't fully drain. That's why the pressure, the headaches, and the congestion keep coming back time and time again. Balloon sinuplasty gently opens your sinuses in a quick, in-office procedure, so the infections can finally clear. At Murfreesboro Sinus Center, they've helped thousands of patients break free from the sinus infection cycle, so you can breathe easier, sleep better, and finally feel like yourself again. Don't wait another season fighting sinus pain. Call Murfreesboro Sinus Center today at 615-649-4590 to see if balloon sinuplasty is right for you. Call 615-649-4590. That's 615-649-4590.
Good Neighbor Events is brought to you by Old National Bank, the law offices of John Day, and AmeriCare Pest Control.
This is a paid legal ad.
I'm attorney John Day. My wife Joy and I love dogs and have one of our own. But we've also helped people who have been injured by dog bites and dog attacks, as well as bicyclists who crashed after a dog attack. You need to know that the dog owner may have insurance to help pay medical bills and other expenses because of a dog attack. If your loved one has been injured by a dog,
call the law offices of John Day for a free consultation. Now, WGNS Good Neighbor Events. The 24th annual Polar Bear Plunge is over at Sportscom on Saturday, January 31st. That's not this Saturday, but the one after it. It starts at 8 o'clock that Saturday morning with games, fun, food, and live music in the gym. Admission is free, but you're encouraged to bring non-perishable food for needy persons in the community. And then 10 o'clock Saturday morning, January 31st, everyone marches out of the gym and plunges into the icy waters of the Borough Beach at Sportscom. Don't miss the 24th annual Polar Bear Plunge. Not this Saturday, but the one after this one, Saturday, January 31st. Don't forget there's a grief support group every Wednesday morning at 10 at the St. Clair Senior Center. It's free, and that's Wednesday mornings at 10. The St. Clair Senior Center is at 325 St. Clair Street in Murfreesboro. The Red Cross is critically low on blood. Please give the gift of life. Phone the Red Cross and give the gift of life. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Rutherford weather.
A winter storm watch goes into effect Friday evening. Mostly sunny skies ahead for us here this afternoon with a high into the upper 40s. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki from the WGNS Rutherford Weather Center. Currently, it's 33.
WGNS is powered by Middle Tennessee Electric. Use caulk or weather stripping to seal leaks around your windows. Stopping drafts is one of the quickest ways to lower your winter bill. Get more ideas at mte.com/myenergyplan.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
Bill Kraus back in the second segment of the WGNS Radio Roundtable, Thursday morning edition, Thursday pre-storm edition, and we're really, really grateful and appreciative of having with us the mayor of the city of Murfreesboro, finishing up his third term and taking out papers last week for the fourth term. What date is the election?
August 4th of this year. Or it's either 4th or 7th.
It seems like a weird time, summer vacation.
Yeah.
It could be a hot time, too.
It's right. Either my anniversary is August 7th, so I need to look and see. Maybe the election may be on my anniversary date. So
that would be interesting.
That could be a problem.
How many seats are up in the console?
3 seats. So you've got Austin Maxwell, Madeline Scales-Harris, and then you got Jamie Averwater. Those 3 seats, and I think all 3 have pulled petitions, papers to run. And then you've also got the county general election, I believe, is in August as well. So their primary is, I think it's May. So yeah, so it'll be an interesting election cycle. Election years are always interesting. And people, have asked me, why are you going to do it again? And it's a pretty simple answer for me. This will, Lord willing, will be the last. This will be it for me. 4 terms is plenty, and I can't imagine someone being mayor and not being self-employed. You
couldn't do it.
It takes, most of the staff members will know my day starts around 4, and so I'm working on my business and the city's business, and then today, for example, like I've here at 9, I've got a 10:30. Then I'll work from 11 to 3, and then we have.
Can I ask you a weird question?
Yeah.
And it's a weird question because, unfortunately, as the case may be, I had to respond to it for over 25 years. Is the agenda before the city council in the months of June and July quieter, so there's not any hot issues that will come before August?
I don't, maybe in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, I think anyone would be naive to say that staff members, like yesterday, we had a great meeting. We've been working really hard to collaborate with the county school system, and so we had a great meeting with their team and with Chairwoman Maxwell, and I think everyone sort of recognizes that things are different during an election year.
Sure.
I mean, I think you'd be naive to say that if a staff member brought a super controversial issue up that wouldn't give some pause. But Bill, I probably to some degree, if people had to say anything about like me specifically, I think that I would want them to say that, look, he always tries to respond. He tries to be very transparent. I may not agree with him, but he does what I think in my opinion, an elected official needs to do, and that's listen to find if there's solutions. If there's not solutions, or if there's not a good answer, to say, well, look, here's why. I know you may not agree with it, but this is why. And so I think I would not want for the next 8 months, the city of Murfreesboro not to be able to work on things we need to work on just because we've got an election coming up. So we've already made it through budget. I don't suspect there was not a tax increase last year. There won't be a tax increase this year. I do not suspect that. So, I mean, outside of those issues, I think a lot of our job is really to educate about what's happening in the city. And, you know, transportation, I think, is really the number one issue that people want to, you know, continually talk about, that, and that's in relation to growth. But I think some of the things you have to look at, the growth that's in the city as compared to the growth that's out in the unincorporated area of the county. And you know, all those people who live in the unincorporated area of the county, they come to the municipalities to be able to get their goods and services. And so I think that's something that we try to work through. Like, and I say this, it's a partnership. You know, there are things the county does that the city doesn't do. But like, for example, the city of Murfreesboro, in the city of Smyrna and the city of Laverne, we all have robust parks and recreation offerings. Well, not only are we providing those recreation offerings for our residents in the city, county residents use those as well. And so, but you know, conversely, I think the county, we have a school system, so we educate K through 6, but the county is in, for example, Smyrna Laverne, they're educating everyone.
Exactly.
And so it's a partnership. And the good thing I will tell you, I've been part of when the partnership has not been good, and I've been part of when the partnership with the county is really good, and it's good now.
Let me ask this question. I'll put your memory. You were elected 3 terms ago, going on 12 years. What was the population? Do you recall?
We were about 120,000 12 years ago.
And today?
We suspect the special census that we tried to do last year was not successful. You know, people don't like filling out things from the government.
It's an infringement of their privacy.
Or people knocking on their door. So Representative Stevens, he did a great job on working through a new deal where you can use data from the Boyd Center in Knoxville. I believe it's called the Boyd Center. It's either that or the Haslam Center.
Named after Randy.
Yeah. So we think we're probably in the 170,000 range. You know,
and with that question, with a 50,000 population plus or minus difference from the time you were first as mayor, how do you retain the small town quality where you're really one of the larger cities of Tennessee?
You know, I think I'll tell you some of the things that we've tried to do. We've tried to be really focused on creating communities in the quadrants of Murfreesboro. For example, if you're in South Murfreesboro, there's goods and services where you don't have to drive all over the city. So I think we've tried to focus on that, doing that through schools as well. But one of the biggest things that we can do is to continue to promote, advocate, and invest in our downtown area. That's really the gathering spot for the city. And I think we've been successful on that. But that's how you keep that hometown feel, is that you have a gathering spot where everyone wants to come and they want to be part of the city. You know, look, somebody who lives on the outskirts of Murfreesboro that's, you know, still in Murfreesboro, they may not come into the city a whole lot. But in the other part too, Bill will tell you, we've tried really hard through our social media accounts in the city, through our city TV, all kinds of programming to be able to let people know what's happening in the city, so they feel like that they're more a part of the city. Like the Facebook Live things. I mean, I enjoy doing those because I get to talk to the residents. But I think those are the things that we have to do as a community to keep engaging our residents and make them feel like they're part of our city.
Would you say that demographics has changed? And I'm primarily hitting demographics from age, not from racial, or not from ethnic, or not from where people are from. has the age? Are we a younger and older community?
It's funny you asked that, because last year, I believe it was last year, we not only were one of the top places in Tennessee to retire, we were the top place where millennials were moving to Murfreesboro. So I think that age demographic is staying pretty static. I don't know what the average age of Murfreesboro. If I had to guess, I would say that we're in the upper 30s. Is what I would guess, low 40s. But I mean, that's the tough thing that we continually are. I don't want to say that we're trying to reinvent ourselves as a city, but as our population ages and we have more people who are moving here, especially with the university. You know, we have to be able to provide offerings for everyone. And now that you've got all these people who have moved from other areas of our country, you know, we have to continue doing things representative of Murfreesboro and not just something that's a fad that's on some other place. So I think, you know, our core tenets, in my opinion, where we say that we're creating a better quality of life, I think we want to make Murfreesboro an affordable city to live in. So that goes to taxes. We want to make Murfreesboro a safe city. You know, part of that means investing in our police department and our fire department, which we have done that significantly. The starting salaries for police officers and firefighters are at the top of our region.
Great.
Outside, well, we're even close to Nashville in some areas.
Tell the public, if you went out to buy a new, and I'm going to be very general, new fire truck.
Yeah.
What's the cost going to be?
We just bought two. Almost a little over $2.5 million, and it takes 18 months for them to get here.
Wow, so, that's per truck?
No, that's total. So I mean, they're expensive, and so but we won't get them for another 18 months.
Wow.
So
they build them from the chassis up.
Yeah, well, and guess what? They're built here in Murfreesboro.
Oh, really?
Yeah, out on Joe B. Jackson Parkway, and then they're shipped to be outfitted. But they're Oshkosh builds those fire trucks out. McNeely, I think is the name of the company, McNeely Oshkosh, that's out on Joe B. Jackson Parkway.
Fantastic. So people aren't aware, you know, cost of a traffic signal intersection.
Oh gosh, you're looking at $250,000 to $500,000 for a traffic signal.
You just think it's 4 poles and a light.
Yeah, we're at over 160 signalized intersections in the city of Murfreesboro.
Wow.
So, you know, and I think that's the part that there's so much that goes into the city that, you know, you read on social media that's what about this, what about that, and you can't answer everyone, but very rarely have I seen the council ever be very reactive on anything. And so, you know, when I say, why do I want to do this again, I think there's some things that we have to get fixed. I want to get a lot of the transportation things moving along. The landfill, I want to get addressed and finalized. But the other thing, Bill, I can't remember any time as a city that we have assembled a better team than what we've got right now.
Would agree.
I mean, our city manager, all of our department heads, all of our employees that we've got, it's been a culture shift over the last 12 or so years to where, I mean, our team, and I think this comes from the council, that our team knows that we're customer service focused and that we want to make sure that we treat the resident just like we would if they were one of our customers. And that means providing great service. And I can't think of a better time than where we are now.
And you have the combination, at least from my observation, they have highly professional men and women who know what they're doing, but combined with that, they have a great feeling for humanity. So the human beings operating the system rather than the system operating the human beings.
Yes, Darren our city manager will tell you this servant leadership model about, you know, being a servant first and everything else follows. And, you know, I think that's one of the things my mom and dad, you know, really taught me, that you treat every single person the same, the way you would want to be treated. And that's, you know, there are things I look back over the last 12 years and I could say, man, I wish I would have done that differently.
But that's so difficult, Shane, for this reason. On the one hand, every citizen has a different issue and a different perception of that issue and a different feeling of how that issue should be resolved. But one of the mandates of any type of government is to be consistent. So how do you deal with person A on a business or on a building permit and person C on a building permit? And you have to be consistent so everybody's treated equally, but everybody's perception of the issue differs.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that consistency, we had this discussion the other day that an apartment developer came to us looking at a project out on Southeast Broad. And before I caught myself, I'm like, I'm a hard no. And typically I don't ever really tell anybody how I'm going to vote on something until we go through a public hearing process, because sure as the world, I tell somebody I'm going to vote on something, and this nice little old lady gets up and brings a point that I never thought about.
Right.
And here I'm in a situation where I've told somebody I would support something without getting all the information from the citizen. So I typically don't do that, but like this group came and they were, talking about what they want to do. I'm like, I'm a hard no. I just want to go ahead and tell you that. And the reason why was over the last many, many years, we've told people no garden style apartments in the city outside of the gateway, and we've done some in the downtown area to try to get some affordable housing and get people a place to live downtown. And I'm like, look, in my opinion, if I tell you I'm supportive of this, then we are telling everyone else that we have told no, the city's back open for that. And so I think consistency is extremely important. And that would be something I'd tell you this, like, I always laugh when I see these things on social media that were like, McFarland's in construction. He's only looking to line his pockets. I've never seen any of getting my pockets lined. But most people will tell you I'm probably harder on developers than most of the council members, because I speak the lingo and I'm be like, look, no, I know what you're trying to do. And so I think you cannot have affordability and tell everybody no. It doesn't. It's just supply and demand. The less demand or less supply you have, the more demand you have. The more demand you have, the more your prices are going to skyrocket. And so I think there's a good balance. But what you'll routinely find, and I say this to someone who's listening, I'm not from here. I moved here in 1992. You're not from here.
Nope.
And what you find, someone will move here, they'll be like, man, I love Murfreesboro. Now, I don't want anybody else to move here.
Close the door.
Yeah, that's it.
Put the key on it.
I joke with Mary Esther in Smyrna, the mayor of Smyrna, and I tell her that we're going to build a wall around Murfreesboro and we're going to make Smyrna pay for it. And so I think that's the key on figuring out how we mesh that community feeling, a safe community, and then a community that you can get around in.
But wearing your builder's hat, let's try this for a second. Is the square footage desire for living, and this can be a new home or an apartment, condominium, has the square footage desire by the home buyer or the home renter significantly changed over the years? Should we be talking about something smaller to reduce the cost in order to increase the affordability?
Well, I think that's the misnomer that you think that the smaller you go, the cheaper it will go. But what you'll find out say that if you build a 1,500 square foot house as opposed to a 3,500 square foot house, your kitchen is the same cost.
Right.
Your bathroom's the same cost. So really you just have less square footage to be able to divide the cost on. But I think where we've really seen it, there are not many subdivisions in the city where you'll see 15,000, 20,000 square foot lots, just because most people, so if you were in your 60s or 70s, you don't want a big lot anymore. So that's where you're seeing like Del Webb, these 55 and over neighborhoods where very small lots, but lots of amenities. And I think that's what you're seeing for the younger generation as well, that somebody's in their 20s and 30s or 20s, they don't want a half acre yard that they've got to mow. They want a smaller yard, but they want amenities around them that they can go use. And so that's, I think, something that's been really hard for all of us to adjust to. That I'm from the era where you have the big lot, have lots of yard,
maybe a horse or two.
Yeah, and so that you're just not seeing that the market is really saying now I will preface that by saying you're seeing a lot of people who will go into older neighborhoods, buy the fixer-upper house that does have the big yard, and you're seeing that happening all across Murfreesboro. But the new subdivisions, I could probably count on both hands the number of 15,000 square foot lots that have come through Murfreesboro. We would like to see those.
But as you mentioned the fixer-upper, I can look at Nashville, living in Williamson County. I can look at Nashville and the amount of single-family homes on a large lot that have been bought and converted over to condos, and you begin to project the amount of vehicles per lot as a result of the original single-family versus the 10 or 12 units that have been placed on the property. You've increased the typical automobile occupancy from 2 cars per lot to maybe 20 cars per lot. And you compound that's, in my opinion, to a great degree, has contributed to the traffic congestions of our Middle Tennessee area.
Well, and I think that is the overall issue. School overcrowding and transportation, and trying to figure out where that all balances in. And that was one of the discussions that we had yesterday on development, around schools. Because, I mean, here's the thing is like the minute that you build a school, neighborhoods want to live next to the school. And so you'll see neighborhoods pop up. So I think we're trying to figure out how not to completely stifle growth, but at the same time, like I'm a firm believer. I think dense subdivisions should be in the city of Murfreesboro. That's the only way. Density should be in the municipalities.
Correct.
Density should not be. Like, I think it is crazy to have 8,000 square foot lots out in the unincorporated area of Rutherford County. Like I was driving out on Midland Road the other day and driving by several subdivisions that are way more dense or as dense as subdivisions inside the city. But the issue is that same subdivision that's out in the county, the roads are 2 lanes. There's no curb and gutter. There's no shoulders.
It may still be under septic.
They're using step systems, and that's really what's changed. I think the dynamic has been that issue with the step system. So,
getting back to the question I put to you right before we took our last break, standards of development and types of material used in building, types of roofing used in building. What requirements of landscaping, what requirements of off-sites and so forth. To what degree can a city like Murfreesboro look at its standards and say, do we lower the standards to accommodate the financial, or do we maintain the standards to ensure the longevity of quality?
We just did that a couple of weeks ago. We had put a stakeholder group together to review what are called our design guideline standards, and had several changes to that. But I mean, I think the issue is, one of the things back 20 years ago, everyone was building vinyl siding homes.
Right.
But now that the homes are closer together, you can't have vinyl siding that's not fire rated. So that's where everything's gone to hardy board or masonite board. So, I would not be one for saying that we're going to lower the standards of construction in Murfreesboro to try to get a lesser, product. Because I think you can go back and look at stuff that we approved 20 years ago. And I'll give you an example. If you go in the Mitchell Nelson area, you go in some of our older neighborhoods, those houses have all stood the test of time. You go into some of the subdivisions that were built 20 years ago that were very cookie cutter, all vinyl siding. They've not fared as well. So I think there's a mix to be able to say what we approve now, has to be able to withstand where we're going to be 20 years from now.
Would you say, and I think I know the answer, but I'll ask you the question, would you say that the standards of construction to respond to tornadoes has significantly changed even in your 12-year time?
I don't think it's just that. I think it's all the things. I mean, as codes have changed, heating and air requirements are more expensive, insulation requirements are more expensive, electrical requirements are more expensive. Everything's more expensive. And so, yeah, I mean, I think with that, you're getting a much better quality built home than you probably were.
We'll call it a safety home.
Yeah, 10 years ago. But at the same time, there's a cost to that. And that's why, I mean, you look at with the advent of the connected smoke detector systems, I mean, the majority of our calls for our fire and rescue department are all medical calls now.
Wow.
I mean, it's I don't know what, the last time I checked, I think the number was less than 5% of the calls that we have are actual fire calls, because things have improved so much with sprinkler systems, with smoke detection systems, that, I mean, things are better.
I go back to history. 1960, City Council of Seattle was deciding what to do with its fire department. They said, all we do is pay for these guys to sleep, and very seldom do they get a call. Why don't we try this experiment on their part-time, let them become a paramedic? And they assumed that paramedic would be an adjunct to fire protection. Yeah. Well, you can see what's happened in 65 years.
Yeah, our first responders are as good as they come, and
they're
all, either EMTs, paramedics, and it goes really to where we are as a county as well, because I still submit that if you call 911, you really don't care what uniform shows up. You just want somebody to show up. And so I think between Rutherford County Fire, Rutherford County EMS, the Rutherford County Sheriff's Department, the City of Murfreesboro, City of Smyrna, City of Laverne, City of Eagleville, we're all working really hard to have that coordinated response when we can.
Before we leave, let's talk about downtown.
Yeah.
You made reference to it earlier, and that it's the core. Downtown is not a natural attraction anymore for residents to come to. It has to be a created attraction. And what attracts or will attract people, not only from Murfreesboro, but throughout Middle Tennessee and beyond Rutherford County, to come to downtown?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you this example. Ashley and I, our son, he was playing basketball in Columbia a couple of weeks ago, and so we were at the school that he was playing, and he had a JV game that started at 5, and then he didn't play again until 7:30. So Ashley and I texted the mayor of Columbia, and I was like, hey, where's a good place to go eat? And immediately it wasn't like, hey, go out to eat at this chain restaurant. He was like, hey, go eat here downtown.
It's home cooking.
Yeah, so we went to a downtown place. As a matter of fact, we were at Friendship in Lebanon last week, and we Googled and we drove downtown, and we ate at a place in between games that was on the square in downtown Lebanon. People want to come to your downtown area, and so I think that's one of the things that between Main Street, our city, our county, that we have to continue to focus on is how we support not only all of our businesses in Murfreesboro, but we have to make sure that we support that downtown area, because all of your downtown restaurants or your downtown businesses, you know what the number one challenge is?
Parking?
Parking.
Sure.
Because you don't have the massive parking lots like you do if you go to the Avenue, or so I think that's one of the things that we're continually focused on is improving the parking downtown. One of those things I still advocate that I think government operations are much better to be off the square and let your businesses and your small businesses have the parking that's on the square. So we're still working through that.
We have every quarter, roughly, Sarah Callender.
She's great.
She is wonderful, and she'll bring 2 of the businesses to the round table when she comes. She's due in February. I think she'll be back with 2 more. And the one thing that comes out of the visitors, her people, is that they're not traditional merchants. They're not traditional shopkeepers. They're not traditional stores. They bring a uniqueness that they become a destination facility rather than a convenience facility.
Yep.
But what is interesting is that you want to get the best of both if you're talking about increasing the residency in and around downtown. Yeah. So that becomes a alternative source of customer or client to the downtown merchant besides a part of Destiny. I think Sarah and I...
Think about this too. we have zero living downtown.
Right.
So anybody that comes into downtown, they drive in.
Sure.
Which increases the traffic. So one of the things we're focusing on is creating that walkability in downtown living where the residents who live in downtown can access the downtown area.
How many bike riders are there from MTSU down Main Street to downtown?
You know, Josh Stone, he's a gentleman over at MTSU. We talk about that. I wish there were more. Main Street's not really one that we can just put a bike lane on. But, like right outside of our door here, that's where we're building the pedestrian walking bridge that will go over South Church Street or go over Broad Street to be able to access Town Creek. And so I think we're working as hard as we can to be strategic in how we do that.
Would I put you on the spot and say current status of downtown revitalization?
Yeah, Town Creek, you can see it's going to be done in October of this year. Has to be done in October of this year. So that's moving along. I think the Keystone development where we're sitting now, that's well underway. One East College, we feel pretty good about where they are right now. So you're starting to see a lot of projects, I think, over the next 3 or 4 years that will hojectly continue to move forward.
You said years?
Yeah, it's
Brian, did you hear years?
Yeah, I don't think I think the Town Creek the Keystone project is slated to start third quarter of 2020 of this year.
Nope.
So, and that would be, knock on wood, the WGNS building is supposed, their Gantt chart they sent us showed by the end of this year that would be under construction.
Ties in with the election.
Yeah. Go figure.
We'll be right back for some final words from our sponsor and then some closing comments from our Mayor Shane McFarland.
This message brought to you by the Central Tennessee Regional Solid Waste Planning Board. Visit recyclerightTN.com for tips, ideas, and locations on where to recycle near you.
Don't be trashy, recycle classy, recycle right, Tennessee.
Recycling isn't just about tossing materials in a bin, it's about knowing which materials are accepted. Go to recyclerightTN.com.
Recycle right, Tennessee.
Local farmers, local meats, vegetables, and other produce at the Winter Spring Rutherford County Farmers Market.
Bundle up and make your way every Friday at Lane Agri Park.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
Bill Kraus concluding today's day, WGNS Radio Roundtable, Thursday morning edition. And number one, be very careful, be mindful, keep your eyes and ears open, be safe for this upcoming weekend. And a concluding comment from our mayor of Murfreesboro, finishing up 12 years of great service to the people of this community. If there were 3 wishes that you could make and you had a magic wand to make them come true, what would they be?
All the road projects that we have in planning, local and state, would magically just be approved immediately. That'd be one. I think selfishly, we have not built ball fields since 1994.
Wow.
In excess, take the Miracle Field and also take the one at Old Fort Park that just opened up. But we've got some pretty, I think, exciting news that's going to be coming out in the next months or so about that I think is
no hints yet.
No hints yet.
Okay.
It's going to come up. And then, lastly, Murfreesboro has continued really to lead the country in quality of life, safety, all those things. And I think that would like to see that continue to head that direction.
It's a community of people as well as a community of roads and a community of public safety and a community of parks recreation, a community of public works. But please make a New Year's resolution for 2026. Say hi to your neighbors. Say hi to the people you see at the store. Say hi to the people you see at the square. Say hi to the people and create an even an increasing friendly community called Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Thank you so much, Mayor Shane McFarland.
All right.
And we wish you great success ahead. And we look forward to having you come back in about 3 months to give us an update.
Get ready for Snowmageddon on Saturday.
Where they say snow time like the present.
That's right.
See you next week, folks. Stay safe.
Subscribe to Big G TV, local content that matters to Rutherford County.